Hey everybody, ronarray here, and before GG released a patch that fixed the loot for Path of Exile 2, I tested farm based on Rogue Exiles, and it went pretty bad. So after the patch, a lot of people have been asking me about what changed for Rogue Exiles. Maybe they're currently dropping more currency, maybe they're dropping better items, or the whole situation changed. So I decided to retest that again. But since in the previous video we kinda learned that Rogue Exiles are not really appearing pretty often, in that video I want to maximize my chances to meet some Rogue Exiles while using different techniques for it. I'm going to go and explain everything, what I used, how I tried to get Rogue Exiles into my maps, and what item they dropped. Let's go. So during this test, initially I wanted to just see how many Rogue Exiles were going to spawn like I did in the previous test, and how effective it will be in terms of what items are dropping. But during that test we encountered a pretty big bug, or just a messed up description, which I'm going to cover a little later. First off, I've been testing just a chance to meet Rogue Exiles. And after about 30 maps, it seems like the chance to meet Rogue Exiles is literally the same as it been before the patch, so nothing changed like at all. The real chance to meet your Rogue Exile with just full Atlas will be approximately like 20%, and even if you will use multiple towers to just buff the chance to meet Rogue Exiles, the chance to get one will be approximately around 45%. However, we found a very cool way how we can spawn Rogue Exile on demand in every map that we like, which is pretty cool. And that way I decided to just test drop from Rogue Exiles instead of just chances to meet them, because it seems the chance is not very high, and if I would just conduct a test of 50 maps again, it will provide me not a big number of Rogue Exiles, and we will just end up at the same situation as we had before, which being, to be honest, pretty bad, because Rogue Exiles are not really coming on your maps, and that been the conclusion of my previous video. But here, since we found that way to spawn Rogue Exiles on demand, I thought that instead we can just focus on checking how many good items are even dropping, and if the drop from Rogue Exiles is kinda improved after the GG patch. So first off, let's talk about the Atlas that I used. I pretty much took everything for Rogue Exile chances. Right here, all chances possible. I avoided Cataclysm Survivors because in my opinion, corrupted items from Rogue Exiles, it's not really a good thing, and maximum sockets is not providing a lot of value too. But instead I just took Intelligentsia here, so Rogue Exiles in my maps will have 100% increased chance to wear items requiring intelligence, and also wealthy targets, so Rogue Exiles in your maps cannot have equipped unique armor. And Rogue Exiles in your maps has 100% increased chance to have equipped unique jewelry. It's mostly been added to just aim for better unique drops. A lot of people are expecting like a headhunter from Rogue Exiles, and that's why I decided to test that. But spoiler alert, unfortunately Exiles are not really dropping a lot of unique jewelry, even if you will kill like tens and tens of them. Instead they're just dropping a lot of weapons and no unique armors whatsoever. So I really feel like wealthy targets right now is providing a very low value based on everything that I test. The rest of my Atlas stays the same, so practically just magic pack bonuses, rarity, quantity, and I tried to run maps with higher quantity and rarity too, but without going too far and without investing like delirium oils, for example. So that way it will be much easier for me to judge the loot. And right now let's talk about the way how we can spawn exiles on demand. In the game there's Omen of Reinforcement, which reads like, while this item is active in your inventory, the next Rogue Exile you encounter will summon an ally. It sounds pretty cool, and initially I thought that when I'm going to meet a Rogue Exile, that Omen is just going to provide a second Rogue Exile called like an ally, and we're going to kill like 2 Rogue Exiles together, which been pretty nice to be honest. But when I started tasting it, initially it seems it's not working that way. So I killed about 20 Exiles and noticed not a single one of them had any kind of allies. So I kinda changed my approach thing there, and I just thought that Omen of Reinforcement is probably providing different type of ally, which could be like magic monster for example, or rare monster, or something like that. But it seems that's not the case too. It seems Omen of Reinforcement right now is not providing any allies at all, and instead it just initially spawns one random Rogue Exile at your head at the moment when you're activating it. So here's for example what I'm doing. I'm just practically entering the map, and right after I enter the map, I'm just clicking Omen of Reinforcement and boom, I have a Rogue Exile. He's just appearing out of nowhere exactly at the moment when I'm clicking Omen of Reinforcement. He's also appearing alone, so Omen of Reinforcement right now is not providing any kind of ally for that exile. And there's no additional monsters or like second exile or something like that. However, if you're using Omen of Reinforcement, one exile will kinda appear when you're using it, and second one could always be in the map. It's not really a part of that ally bonus because sometimes he's appearing and sometimes he's not appearing. But you can get like at least 2 exiles that way, because it seems the exile which is appearing from Omen of Reinforcement is not really calculated anywhere at the current moment. It's just appearing because you're using the Omen. Right now Omen costs about like 7 exalteds, and I spent about 30 Omens to just test the loot from Rogue Exiles by practically restarting the maps and starting maps with cool bonuses such as quantity and rarity to see what Rogue Exiles are even dropping. So after figuring out the trick with the Omen, I decided to just check drop from good amount of Rogue Exiles. Initially, I wanted to do 50 of them, but after doing 30, I decided to stop because it's been just very bad. It really feels like after the patch, drop from Rogue Exiles is completely unaffected. So GG never buffed it in any kind of way, and they're practically dropping the same amount of stuff they've been dropping before the patch, making it one of the mechanics which is completely ignored by GG at the current moment. So after farming 30 exiles, I received about 30 random rares and 6 unique items, which is very low number. Only 6 unique items after spawning 30 of them, and most of those unique items being weapons. I already showcased that I've been taking wealthy targets in my Atlas. But out of all uniques that I got, only one unique been an amulet, and that's Anvil Bloodstone amulet. Right now it costs about 30 exalts at the best because I've been very lucky and it rolled with perfect maximum block chance. It's like 5% right now, so that's the only reason why it even costs anything. The rest been absolutely useless. So I got like a Life Spring, I got Scene Stars, which is very basic, Pilar of the Cage God, which is pretty basic too, together with Dusk Vigil, and together with Earthbound. Also, some of them already had like a socket and rune inside, but I don't think it's changing anything. And thanks God, none of those being corrupted. So right now, I feel like Atlas is not really affecting what kind of items your exiles are going to drop. And they're not really dropping unique items pretty often or consistent. I feel like 6 items out of 30 tries is not a very good number, and right now just keep spawning them. About 6 to 7 exalteds per just one spawn from the Omen, in my opinion, is just a waste of currency, because they're not going to drop anything good. And most of the time they're just going to drop weapons, which will cost like 1 exalted, and that's pretty much it. So initially, I've been testing that mechanic to pair it with a ritual as well. So when your Rogue Exile is spawning inside the ritual and you're killing it inside the ritual, you will get all the benefits and all the loot from the exile every time when you're killing it again in the following rituals during that map. But unfortunately, when we're using the Omen right now, you can't force exiles into ritual that way. It seems like they're not respawning and it's just not working. So even when I've been running rituals during the whole test, not a single, and I repeat that, not a single exile spawned inside the ritual, even when I had the rituals practically in all maps. So that way, I never tested how good it's going to work. I could just continue and maybe some of them would just like randomly spawn in ritual, but right now it feels like a big waste of points, especially consider that even if they will spawn in the ritual, out 30 tries I still received only 6 uniques and most of them being weapons and the pretty bad weapons. Right now in the game there's not a lot of weapons which can provide a pretty decent amount of currency for you, and just focusing on jewelry sounded like a very good idea, but they're not really dropping jewelry whatsoever. And right now I feel like the whole mechanic is still very bad. It's not affected by patch, it's not really improved, and maybe Rogue Exiles will be better in the next league, but right now I heavily do not recommend anybody to farm that because it feels absolutely useless. If anybody received any kind of cool loot from Rogue Exiles, please let me know in the comments, because so far I never heard about any good loot from them, and I never seen a single clip of people dropping like Headhunter or just something with a very high price. So that's been it, and I really hope that we will get some particular improvement, but we got none, and I still do not recommend to farm Rogue Exiles, so let's just drop those points and let's forget that Rogue Exiles are even in the Atlas. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and ronarray out.